Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra Sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. You ever take a job so weird you assume it has to be a prank? That was me 2 weeks ago when I got hired as an overnight maintenance technician for Alcatraz. Sounds cool, right? Except the job listing was on Craigslist at 2:11 a.m. under the category Miscellaneous Ghosts. Okay. I applied on a dare. My roommate bet me $50 I wouldn't send in a resume that listed my prior experience as fighting for my life every Sunday at Walmart self-checkout. 2 hours later, I got a call back. 3 hours after that, I was in a boat headed to the Rock. That was the first red flag. Nobody told me I'd be alone. Apparently, the daytime tour guides leave by sundown. The only people left overnight are me, a weird security guy named Jerry, who only speaks in riddles, and a binder titled Alcatraz Night Crew, Survival Protocols, revised 1963. I didn't even get a flashlight. Just the binder, a ring of keys, and an old metal mop with duct tape on the handle. Foreshadowing? My first night started out boring. Just creaking walls, echoing drips, and the occasional seagull that sounded like it died screaming. But then, I read rule number 1. Rule 1. If you hear footsteps behind you in Cellblock D, keep walking. They're not yours. Hilarious. Great start. Until I got to Cellblock D. You know that awful feeling when you realize your footsteps have a different rhythm than the ones echoing behind you. Yeah, I stopped walking. The steps didn't. They got closer and heavier, until I said out loud, "Okay, funny. I get it. Real Scooby-Doo energy. You can stop now." They did. Right behind me. I turned around. Nothing. Just empty cells and stale air that suddenly smelled like wet cigarettes and metal. That's when I noticed something new. A shiny brass coin sitting perfectly centered on the floor. Naturally, I picked it up. Because I'm an idiot. But more on that later. Back at the supply closet, I skimmed more rules. Rule 4. If the cafeteria music starts playing, leave immediately. Do not look at the lunch menu. Rule 9. In the warden's office, the phone rings every night at 3:17 a.m. Do not answer, even if it says your name on the caller ID. Rule 11. If you see an inmate wearing a uniform with no name tag, avoid eye contact. He thinks you're still a prisoner. Who made this list, Stephen King's grandpa? Still, something about the way it was typed. Old courier font, red ink corrections, coffee stains, the whole thing laminated like it had survived the apocalypse, made me hesitate. And then came Rule 6, which I definitely should have read before entering the laundry room. Rule 6. Don't disturb the man folding the same towel. You'll know him when you see him. Guess who was in the laundry room folding a towel that was already perfectly square and doing it over and over while muttering, 5 more years, 5 more years. Under his breath? I froze. He didn't look at me, but I knew he saw me. I backed out. Slowly. Quietly. But the mop, the stupid duct-taped mop, decided now was the time to fall and clang against the metal bucket. The man stopped folding. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I ran all the way to the gift shop and locked myself inside with an army of plush seagulls and souvenir coffee mugs that said, "Escape is futile." I slept behind the counter like a war refugee. The next morning, Jerry showed up right at dawn, sipping black coffee out of a skull-shaped mug. I asked him why no one else works nights. He shrugged. They all quit. Or disappeared. I waited for him to laugh. He didn't. Then I handed him the coin from Cellblock D. He dropped his mug. When he finally looked up, his face was pale. "You picked it up?" "You never pick up the coin, man." "Why?" He didn't answer. He just muttered something about updating my binder, then walked off whistling Jailhouse Rock like none of this was weird. Tonight is my second shift. I'm bringing a flashlight, a protein bar, and holy water just in case. And before I forget, there's one more rule scribbled on the back page, in different handwriting. Do not trust the man who smiles too wide. He's been here longer than the prison has. I thought that was just flavor text. Until I saw Jerry smile. He has a lot of teeth. They say fear builds character. If that's true, I've got enough character to be a side quest NPC in a horror-themed Call of Duty. Alcatraz map. Seriously, imagine it. Mission objective. Survive 5 rounds with nothing but a haunted mop, ghost coins, and a vending machine that whispers your sins back to you. My second night started with Jerry handing me an updated version of the binder. The new pages weren't typed. They were handwritten in some scratchy cursive that looked like it was written under duress. Or during an earthquake. The first new rule? Rule 15. If you find blood in the shower drains, do not clean it. It's not today's problem. Comforting. Also, the binder now smelled like tobacco and cold fear, like someone had hotboxed it with anxiety. At 11:45 p.m., I heard a loud clang echo from the upper cells. I waited. Clang, clang. Then footsteps, but upside down? You ever hear someone walking on the ceiling? Because I have. I didn't want to go investigate. I wanted to file a formal complaint with God. But apparently I'm the only guy still working here with a pulse and a working spine, so off I went. The sound led me to cell 32 in Block B. It was ice cold inside, like someone had been storing frozen souls in the mattress. On the wall was something new, a tally carved in with fingernails. I counted 13 marks, then noticed a fresh 14th. And then my flashlight died, of course it did. I pulled out my backup flashlight, an old one I borrowed from Jerry's emergency drawer, which also had a loaded Nerf gun and a rosary made out of chicken bones, and clicked it on. And that's when I saw it. A man crouching on the ceiling, limbs spidered out across the bars, just smiling. No eyes, no name tag, just that same wide smile Jerry gave me yesterday. I didn't scream. I just casually dropped my flashlight, whispered, "Nope," and Call of Duty dolphin dived backwards down the walkway like I was escaping a kill streak. Binder rule number 11 had already warned me. Avoid eye contact with nameless inmates. They think you never left. So I never looked up again. I just ran until I reached the chapel. Now here's the messed up part. I locked the chapel door behind me and turned on the lights, only to find that the gift shop register was suddenly sitting in the pews, like someone carried it across the island and placed it there just to screw with me. On the screen it said, "Would you like to make a donation?" Bro, what? I pressed no. It buzzed angrily, then said, "Incorrect." The register spit out a receipt with the words, "You owe us a life" in Gothic font and started printing coins. Ghost coins, like the one I found in Cellblock D. That's when the chapel lights flickered and I remembered Rule 8. If you hear coins drop where there are no vending machines, run. So I did, straight into the courtyard, where I slipped on a banana peel. Not a metaphor, a literal, glowing, pulsing banana peel that vanished after I hit the ground. I laid there wheezing and staring at the night sky while my spine reset itself, and for one moment, I swear the clouds above looked like skulls screaming silently. Later, back in the staff lounge, which is just an old cell with a mini fridge and a microwave that only cooks in Latin, I found another post-it taped to the inside of my locker. It wasn't there yesterday. In red Sharpie, it said, "You're doing great. They're starting to notice you." Smiley. I assume that's the ceiling guy, or maybe Jerry's Yelp username. Either way, I now sleep with the mop, not next to me, on top of me, like a ghost-proof weighted blanket. Last thing before I sign off for tonight, I was looking at the front page of the binder again, and I noticed something strange. The original list of employees, all typed neatly in 1963, had one name scratched out. Scratched so hard it tore the page. But underneath the scratches, in the right light, you can still read it. Jerald. Jerry Roth. Inmate number 0892. Life without parole. Escaped. Never. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully. I started my third shift like a war veteran re-enlisting against better judgment. My backpack now included 3 flashlights, a pouch of salt, 2 AA batteries blessed by my cousin who went to Bible camp once, and one rosary I stole from the haunted mop. Yes, the mop. At this point, I don't ask questions. I just roll with it like I'm in season 4 of a Netflix show that should have ended happy in season 1. Jerry greeted me at the dock like always, sipping his usual death coffee and acting like a man who never needed to blink. "You've made it farther than most," he said, smiling. Way too many teeth again. I tried confronting him about the whole inmate number 892 thing, but he just chuckled and said, "Escaping a cell is easy. Escaping a purpose? That's harder." Then he handed me tonight's checklist. Task: sweep the infirmary, monitor Cellblock C, retrieve dropped coins, if any, and avoid the choir. "Wait, what choir?" I asked. He just pointed at the binder and disappeared behind the fog like a cryptid. I flipped to the new rule. Rule 18. If you hear singing coming from the second floor of the administration wing, do not join in. They will hear your voice, and they miss the sound of blood. Super normal workplace stuff. Anyway, Cellblock C was first. Nothing too bad there, just one door that opened by itself, and a vent that started wheezing like it had asthma. At this point, unless the walls start bleeding Sudoku puzzles, I can't be bothered. Then I entered the infirmary, which, fun fact, hasn't been used since 1959. But apparently someone forgot to tell the operating table because it was still wet, and not with water. Also, the thermometer on the wall was spinning like a game show wheel. I said nope, like a prayer, and backed out slowly, only to hear a soft, crooning melody floating down the hall behind me. Men's voices, low, harmonizing, singing something old, like barbershop quartet meets seance. I stopped breathing, and here's where I screwed up. I hummed along, not on purpose, just instinct. You know how it is when a good harmony sneaks up on you? I caught myself 2 seconds in, but it was already too late. The singing stopped. Dead silence. Then a whisper from the darkness. "He's got a voice. Bring him to rehearsal." Cue the lights flickering. Cue the doors slamming shut. Cue me backpedaling down the hallway so fast I nearly invented reverse parkour. I ducked into the library. Another dumb move, because Rule 7 clearly states, if you enter the prison library after midnight, don't pull any books with red spines. One of them still bleeds. Guess what's on display right now? A table with 5 red-spined books perfectly arranged in a star shape. One of them was open, dripping something dark onto the dusty floor. I did not stay to find out if it spelled a warning in cursive. I bolted through a side door and ended up in the solitary wing, which I had specifically marked on my map as, "Absolutely not today, Satan." Too bad the door locked behind me. Here's the thing about solitary confinement cells in Alcatraz. They're small, pitch black, and acoustically cursed. As I crept through the hallway, I heard someone whispering the rules from the binder. Word for word, over and over. Rule 1. If you hear footsteps behind you, keep walking. Rule 2. If the showers turn on by themselves. Rule 3. It was my voice. Exactly, my voice. My cadence. My bad pronunciation of cafeteria. Everything. I turned and shined the flashlight toward the voice. Nothing. Except one open cell, door wide, cot rumpled, and a note scratched into the wall that said, "I remember being you." So I did the most rational thing possible. I screamed like a possessed goat and ran directly into a broom closet. Guess what was waiting in there? Yup, the mop. It was standing upright, wedged into the corner like it was waiting to clock in for its shift. And next to it, Another binder. Same exact one as mine, except this one was signed in the front cover. Property of Danny Klein, 2014 night shift. And beneath that? Last seen, May 23, 2014. Echoes detected in Cellblock C. I opened the binder and flipped to the last page. It was torn halfway through, but still readable. Rule 25. If you survive 3 nights, they'll start trying to trick you into staying. Don't let them offer you a job. Don't accept new keys. Don't sign anything. Guess what was in my back pocket? A brand new key ring I didn't remember picking up. 5 keys. One of them labeled Admin Wing, Choir Access. I'm writing this now from the supply room. The walls are breathing slightly, and Jerry left me a sandwich that keeps turning into meatloaf when I blink. But, hey, silver lining. I haven't died yet. Unless I already did, and this is just night shift purgatory. Either way, I'm clocking back in, because apparently this place doesn't allow time off. You know you're in too deep when your haunted prison job starts feeling like your safe space. Like, yeah, there's disembodied whispering, singing ghosts, an eldritch mop with judgmental posture, but at least nobody's asking me about my car's extended warranty. I started night 4 the way all great horror stories begin, by eating half a tuna sandwich I found on top of the binder. It was warm. I still ate it. I don't care anymore. The moment I took the first bite, the radio crackled on by itself. Jerry's voice came through. "Welcome to night 4, hotshot." If you're still hearing your own voice in the walls, that means he's almost ready to step out. Click. No follow-up. No explanation. No battery pack in the radio. Just casual ghost foreshadowing and mercury-flavored tuna. I did what any rational man would do. Open the binder. Rule 26. If the intercom clicks 3 times in a row, check the mirror near cell 9. If there's no reflection, leave. If there is, ask it what year it is. Don't react to the answer. Okay. Fine. We're doing ghost trivia now. I headed toward cell 9 like I wasn't already leaking fear through my shoes. Halfway there, the intercom clicked. Once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. I approached the tiny, cracked mirror nailed to the wall. My reflection was there, slightly off, like my hair was parted the wrong way and my eyebrows looked too confident. What year is it?" I whispered. Reflection me smiled and said, 2028. Cool. I backed away immediately, but here's the part that's got me still shaking. I didn't say anything aloud. I thought the question, and the reflection answered. Back in the hallway, the mop was waiting for me again. It was now wearing a tiny name tag that said, Gus. Oh, so now we're assigning names to cleaning tools like they're union employees? Cool. Gus was standing in front of a stairwell that led down to the old utility tunnels, a place not even the daytime tour guides mention. Of course, my updated binder had a new rule. Rule 30. If you find the mop blocking the tunnel, turn around. If the mop invites you down, go. But only if it's facing east. Gus was tilted slightly. Eastward. Awesome. The tunnels were pitch black and smelled like mold, burnt wiring, and unresolved trauma. I walked with Gus like we were in the world's worst buddy cop movie. My flashlight kept flickering just enough to show that the walls were carved with prisoner initials, some of them fresh. Too fresh. At the end of the tunnel, I found a room that looked like an old generator station. Broken fans, rusted dials, and a filing cabinet that hissed when I touched it. Inside was a single folder. The label read, Inmate 0892. Roth, Jerald. Classification, unclassified. Role, transitional entity. That's when the lights died again. And a voice, not Jerry's, came from the dark. He liked being Warden more than being human. I turned to run, but the door had vanished, literally just gone. Brick wall, no tunnel. Just me, the mop, and a man now standing in the corner, humming This Old Man while tapping a rusted key against his palm. I woke up 3 hours later, in the chapel, lying face down on a pew with "Confess" carved into my back pocket. No clue how I got there. Gus was gone. The folder was gone. The binder was now open to a new page I hadn't written. It was in my handwriting. Rule 34. If you disappear during night 4, don't ask where you went. The building will remember for you. Yeah, screw that. I ran to the admin office to try and call the mainland. Guess what I found? A brand new phone. Sleek, modern, plugged into nothing, already ringing. Caller ID said, Jerald, Smiley, Roth. I didn't answer. I just stared at it. Then the phone laughed. Just a little chuckle, like someone watching a sitcom where they wrote all the punchlines themselves. I chucked it in the trash where it immediately started ringing again. That's when I saw the post-it on my locker again. New ink, same handwriting. Final night tomorrow. Make sure you look your best. You'll be on the schedule. Smiley, now. I'm back in the supply closet, writing this down while keeping one eye on the mop closet. Something's scratching from the inside, but I'm scared if I open it, Gus won't be there anymore. Or worse, someone else will. Because I think Jerry doesn't mop anymore. He recruits. I didn't want to show up for night 5. I considered faking an injury. I even texted Jerry a picture of a band-aid on my ankle with the caption, "Can't come in. Too powerful." He replied instantly, "We understand." Come anyway. No emojis. No punctuation. Just dread. I stepped onto Alcatraz one last time. The wind was too quiet. The fog stayed still like it was waiting for something to breathe first. Jerry met me at the dock wearing a crisp button-up and a name tag that read, Warden, Temporary. "Oh, hell no," I said. He just smiled, the same sharky, overstretched grin I'd seen every night this week, and handed me a new page for the binder. I didn't even want to read it, but I did. Final rule. If they offer you the uniform, you've already accepted. Just make sure it fits before sunrise. I looked down. There was a neatly folded guard uniform on the bench beside me. Black tie, ironed, pressed. My name stitched on the chest. And inside the breast pocket, a coin. The same ghost coin from Cellblock D, except this one had my face on it. I ditched the uniform and tried to leave. The boat was gone. Not docked. Not floating. Just gone. I ran to the admin office to radio for help. The line only hummed like it was full of bees. I screamed into it anyway. "I quit. I'm done. I'm not joining your creepy ghost rotation." And from the other end, a voice whispered back, "You were never hired. You were inherited." Then the line clicked, and every light in the prison turned off. Alcatraz doesn't get pitch black. Not usually, but right then, it was darker than dark, like someone turned off the concept of color. And I swear to you, I felt the building shift, like it had just noticed I was trying to leave and wanted to stretch its legs. I turned around, and every hallway was gone. Just a single corridor leading to the warden's office, lit by candlelight. I walked inside like I was in a dream I couldn't wake from. The chair behind the desk turned slowly, revealing Gus the mop, standing upright in the center of the seat holding the binder. You ever make eye contact with cleaning equipment and realize it's judging your life choices? Gus slowly tipped forward and landed on the desk. The binder fell open. One last page, written in fresh red ink. There is no day shift. There never was. Only the ones who stay long enough to forget what they were cleaning up in the first place. Then I heard footsteps. Mine, from behind me. I turned, and standing there was me. Same face, same clothes. But his eyes were wrong. Deeper, older, and he had the name tag on his chest. Warden, permanent. He nodded toward the chair. I sat. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. This is where it gets weird. Everything shimmered, like reality blinked. And suddenly I wasn't me anymore. I was the guy giving the rules, explaining to the next poor fool about Rule 1. Rule 6. The coin, the mop, the choir. I was behind the binder now, reading it out loud to a fresh new face with scared eyes. And in the reflection of the warden's office window, I could see Jerry standing outside, folding a towel over and over. Same towel, same motion, same muttering. 5 more years. 5 more years. So here it is. This is my last message. I scrawled it on the back of one of the coins before the mop takes it down to Cellblock D. If you ever work the night shift at Alcatraz, bring your own mop. And never hum along with the choir.